Sup? So, earlier this week, I was thinking about all the things that I kind of identify with and am and all that stuff. And so I made a list, and it was all words beginning with A, which is really funny. So first of all, my government name and my real name begin with A. So there's that. You have apathetic. I'm really not about that life. I'm asocial. You have asexual, of course, agender. I'm on the aromantic spectrum. What else? Oh yeah, atheist. And so that's what I want to talk about this week is atheism. I am atheist, and I run into other atheists that think of it differently than I do. And I mean, that's not a problem. It's just, it's different. And so some people, almost like being agender, can be, a gender onto itself that has a lack of roles. Or it could be the complete absence of gender. And so, similarly, some people think of atheism as a religion, like almost like a belief system. And I personally believe that it is a complete lack of believing in God and religion completely. So, I mean, there's different ways to think about it. I personally don't. I just lack all religion. And so there are other atheists that are, euphoric. I think we all know some people that are like that are, really self-informed and kind of condescending and not so great to be around. And I won't name any names, but my lady. Anyway, those people, they kind of come at religion not so tactfully. You would think that atheists, because we are people that are kind of discriminated against, that you would come to people and treat them like you would want to be treated, to, I guess, take a page out of the Bible. And I understand being on the defensive, because there are some terrible, terrible things that people say to atheists and people do to atheists that are religious, thinking that atheists are bad people. Atheists are not bad people. There are some great atheists out there, and there are some terrible atheists. But there are also some terrible religious people. Like, terrible religious people. And also, great people out there. And I don't think your religious beliefs, your system of beliefs, really has anything to do with whether you're a good person or not. It has nothing to do with morality. An atheist can be just as moral as a person who is religious. And so I don't just subscribe to that, religion instilling morality in a person. By the same token, I am an atheist, I think, that is not necessarily pro-religion, but I am incredibly open to religion. I think that it is wonderful. Like, it does wonderful things for people. I can't refute. I can't deny someone the peace of mind and satisfaction that religion provides for them. For me, it doesn't provide anything, and I'm not going to attack someone for enjoying something that I don't enjoy. Like, that sounds ridiculous. I just don't really get, attacking someone based on their beliefs, because, I mean, your beliefs are your beliefs. They don't really affect anyone. Like, just, I don't know, move on. Who cares, really? There are a lot of people out there that will say and do terrible things to you because you are religious or you're not religious, and it sucks. I have a story. Yes, story time. About religion and me coming out, I guess. I really hate saying coming out. I've never really come out with anything in my life. It's just kind of assumed that I'm a little off. I mean, it's as close as coming out can be, I guess. So let me first preface this with like how religion has kind of shaped my life and where I am with religion. And so my dad, I'm actually not sure what he is. He grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. That is something that I do know. But he fucking hated that shit. He totally just denounced it, and he is no longer a Jehovah's Witness. I'm not entirely sure what he believes in. I'm pretty sure he's not atheist, but he doesn't really talk about it, and I'm not going to push it. So my mom, on the other hand, is pretty religious. compared to both me and my father and my brother. She was raised Catholic and Baptist, and she mostly leans towards being Baptist, but she did go to Catholic school, and so she is, partially Catholic. Yeah, growing up, we didn't really go to church. We would go, like, sometimes for, like, Christmas, or just when my mom got, like, the whim to do it. I would go, actually, more often with friends than I would with my parents. I mean, it wasn't anything bad about it. It was pretty much just, like, going to any kind of meeting. It was just really, really boring because I didn't know what was going on. Then into middle school and high school, I kind of started like learning about religions and kind of studying them outside of school. And then I got to high school and I actually had several religion classes that I took. And so we learned, what was it? I think it was human geography, world history, and there was another class where we talked about religions. And so I learned a good amount about religion. And though I was raised Christian, I never really identified as Christian. I was never saved or any of that stuff. And after learning about religions, I leaned towards Buddhism. I thought it was really, really interesting. But at the end of the day, atheism is really what I identify most with. So, story time. So it happened last year, about a month from now. And, we went on a vacation, me, my dad, my mom, and my brother, to a timeshare that my aunt owned. And my aunt is my father's sister. And so she is quite Jehovah's Witness. She is all about that witnessing. So, it was a lot of fun. I had a ridiculous amount of fun. And I always love hanging out with my family. We have so much fun anytime we're together. We always make fun of my mom, and we get along. And so that was actually super awesome. And then I also hung out with my cousins, who are the children of that aunt, and they're really, really nice. They're great. They're wonderful. They're fantastic. And so one of the days, like, it was the last night that we would be there, we went out to a lighthouse and we did all this stuff, and all day we're just out. And so I am a supreme introvert. And so those kind of things, even if they're fun, social interactions just drain the fucking life out of me. At the end of the day, I need to go somewhere and be alone to recharge. And I never really got the chance to do that this night. So we were sitting at the dinner table, we had finished eating, and we're talking about God and religion and all that great stuff. And so my aunt starts talking about her redemption story. She was, she wasn't having sex all willy-nilly. She wasn't like crazy with it. She was literally in a committed relationship with her partner, the man that she's married to today. And apparently that's wrong to do in Jehovah's Witness, like, views and stuff. And so, I'm not doubting that, but that is wrong to do. So anyway, she was talking about her redemption story, like how she was, just doing what she wanted rather than doing what God wanted her to do, and how the community kind of shunned her until she came around. And I thought that was really, really weird, because if God can handle everything, then people don't really need to do anything. Like, you don't need to pass judgment on people, because God's got that handled for you. I don't get that. But that's something that Jehovah's Witnesses do pretty damn hard. He talks about, like, the devil leading you astray. She shows us this video on this site about Jehovah's Witnesses and all the wonderful things that it's done for her life. And I absolutely believe that it has. It has made her better for herself. She loves herself more because she is Jehovah's Witness. I don't necessarily believe that it's made her a better person, but it's made her more accepting of herself, and that's really all you can ask for. She starts to talk about how the devil can lead you astray and all that stuff, and she asks me, do I believe in the devil? And I say, no. And she asks me if I believe in sin, and I say no. And I can already feel it coming. The big question, do I believe in God? And I say no. That was a fucking mistake. I am not one of those people that are so about their principles that I will, just stand by anything I believe to the end of days. Like, if I feel like I can avoid a huge confrontation by just lying, then I will do it. I'm sorry. I just hate it. I just hate having massive confrontations with people, especially because I'm so introverted and I was just out of it that day. But I said I did not believe in God, and that seemed like, I was definitely coming out to her, but it seemed like something that my mom had already known, that I was atheist, and so she was probably told my dad, but my dad hasn't heard it from me. And so that was the first time my dad saw it, and wow. I'm just thinking about what happened. It was awful. And so her and her husband kind of go on this gigantic tirade. It's literally an interrogation. They go over, like, how are all these beautiful things here? Like, how do you explain the beauty of nature? It didn't just pop out of nowhere. And, all that stuff. And, it was awful. Because watching her, it wasn't her husband so much as it was her. She had this look that she was smiling, but there was no joy in the smile. It was, and the corners of her mouth were turned downward. It was terrifying, actually, to look at her face, to look at that smile. Like, I would rather she was just glaring at me than that smile. That smile was terrifying. To me, it was just pure malice. I was really scared. But she was making this face at me and asking me these questions just back to back to back. And so my mom's sitting there and she didn't say jack shit. Like, she literally just sat there. Like, when my aunt would ask me a question, she would look to my mom after I answered it like, bitch, you're talking to me. Like, I'm an adult. Don't look at my mom looking for, like, answers, because I'm the one that you're talking to. That is so disrespectful. That was just, like, the small thing. But, my mom didn't say shit. She didn't help me at all. My brother, he was trying to deflect, some of the attention from me, but that didn't work. My dad first wasn't there, and then he came over, and he was watching this happen. He was fucking livid. Like, it was really scary, because I think he's had a lot of issues with his sister being so judgmental and kind of attacking people for not being a Jehovah's Witness. But yeah, she and her husband just laid into me pretty good. And I remember her asking, like, well, what about the Bible? You believe in the Bible? And I was like, no, I don't. I just told you I don't believe in God and I don't believe in sin. Like, no. And she's like, well, think of it as a letter from your father, because God is all of our father. And I looked at her and said, no, my father's sitting right here. The only father I know is the one that raised me, the one that I can give a high five and give a hug and can give me advice. God hasn't done shit for me. Like, really? Like, honestly, God hasn't done anything for me. So she looked at me after I said that. I didn't say God didn't do shit for me. I just said my father is my biological father, and that's who I identify as my father. But she looked at me for a good maybe 4 to 5 seconds and then busted the fuck out laughing. She laughed like so hard that she cried. She was laughing so hard. Like, it was so funny to her. My beliefs were funny to her. And I was so offended. Not so much because I was made a fool of, because I was definitely made a fool of, but because I thought I was safe. I thought I was in a safe place where I could express my beliefs and not be betrayed. I was betrayed by people that I loved and I suspected loved me. And I don't know, it just made me so angry. I was so angry. I could have hurt her, honestly. I was raised from when I was very, very, very little to respect my elders, respect my family, and to really treat everyone with respect. And so, to me, the things that I wanted to do weren't respectful. And so I had no recourse. I had nothing to kind of get rid of these feelings, to get rid of this anger that was just boiling up in me. And so I cried. That was the only thing I could do. I cried. I felt so silly. I felt so fucking silly. I cried. And then I got up and said, well, this has been a great conversation. I'm going to bed. And I went upstairs, and for the rest of the night, I heard my dad just yelling at her. My dad was my hero that day. My dad he was great. Wow. And my brother was pretty upset too. My mom kind of blamed me for the whole altercation. Not really altercation, but the whole situation. My mom blamed me. So yeah, my dad was really upset. He wanted to leave that night. He wanted to leave like right then. But my mom convinced him that we needed to stay. And I was just really, really upset. And then I thought about it, and I thought about it, and then I wasn't upset. Because that's just the way she is. And she's not a reflection of how all religious people are or all Jehovah's Witnesses are. That's just her. That's her fucking problem. That has nothing to do with what kind of person I am or what anyone is. It's just her. And I forgive her. I forgave her. I mean, I literally told her that I forgive you. And so, I don't know. She made it into this thing where like, oh my God, my niece and nephew hate me and all that stuff. And I was like, no, you're just a disgusting person. No one hates you. You hate you. Yeah, that whole experience for me was, it was awful. It was so bad. And I think that was probably one of the worst experiences I've had with my religious beliefs and talking to people. And that's probably why I don't foresee myself coming out as agender or asexual or really coming out, period. And so if you find out, you find out. If you don't, you don't. I'm not telling you. I'm not going to like make it a big thing that I'm coming out, because I see the way that people respond to it and it's disgusting. So no thanks. But yeah, religion it's a strange thing. It can make people do terrible things to their families, and it can make them do the most heroic, most courageous things for strangers. Like, it's just a really interesting thing. And so, yeah, that's my atheist story, I guess, and my thoughts about being atheist, and I'm still proud as fuck to be an atheist, so take that. Pieces.